This episode of the LY Show is brought to you by Beautiful Friendships.
I should have warned you that I buzzed my hair, but
Recently or today? Did you do it today?
no.
Okay.
No, I didn't do it today. I did it a few weeks back.
Okay.
Though today
So
would be a good day to do it, but I didn't it's been a few weeks. But I keep
uh-huh.
sort of adjusting it, and I become sort of like a professional now, sitting at home. But it's been a few days. Normal average
I
size.
used
But this is
to.
probably the second time I've actually buzzed it completely. Yeah. But
Wow.
way back I did it once. But it's just because I said if there's any time to embarrass yourself, the lockdown is the time to try stuff. So I just completely, I've always wanted to. And then I just completely, I just moved the whole thing. And now every now and then I just, the buzzer is I'm using it for the first time. So every few days or every week, I might just, tweak it here and there.
Wow.
And it's good. It's always good. It's always good when you rub your head, you feel it's going to be okay.
So do you want to get straight into the interview?
It's totally up to you. So what is this? This is the Leia YT show or something. What's this called?
It's the
That we're on
LY
right
show.
now?
It's the LY show. I do it with my I
show.
do it
Okay,
with
nice.
one other friend. Yeah. She interviews comedians and I interview filmmakers. Recently it's been
Okay, I thought you were gonna say serious people.
Oh.
Okay, fine.
Hi, thanks for tuning in to the LY Show. I am Leia. Today we're having a special guest, award-winning filmmaker from Pakistan, Adnan. Hi, Adnan.
Hey Leia, how's it going? Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Good to see you too. I'm so excited to have
It's
you
funny.
on the
It's
show.
funny because we just did like an informal introduction, and now we have like a formal introduction. So this is good. It's good. I'm happy to be here.
So where in Pakistan are you right now?
I'm actually in Islamabad, which is the capital city of the country. And I've been here for most of my life. I've lived in Islamabad, but recently also since for the past few months I've been here as well. I'm staying here. We're like in a family home, so my folks are here too, and my brother, and yeah. So we're a little bit outside the city in terms of the actual location, but it's within the vicinity of Islamabad.
How is the situation? What is your routine, so to speak?
Well, basically, it's like most places, we're mostly home. Things have, in fact, yesterday or this week, they announced that everything is gradually going to open. So public transport has opened, and shops have opened. The malls are still closed, cinemas are still closed, but since this thing started, we've pretty much been, trying to stay home, trying to not go outside, wear the mask and everything. So I've been out mostly just for, shopping, um, you know, social calls and stuff like that have almost, stopped. So she has mostly been at home. Luckily, we have a little bit of a garden, so one can walk around and stuff and, step out for a bit. But otherwise, it's been home. It's Ramadan now, so things are kind of relaxed in this month anyway. The month we're kind of for fasting. It's almost over now. It's been 20 or so fasts have gone by. But it's okay. It's sometimes you feel like you want to step out, you want to meet some friends or do something. But otherwise, we're thankful that things are so far so good in terms of this area. And even overall, the countries, I think I don't know how accurate the stats are, but I think overall we seem to be doing relatively better than most places. But again, it just depends how things go from here on. Because in the beginning they were very strict, and now things are more relaxed. And it just depends how the people respond, to the rules and regulations and stuff like that in terms of being in public. I've been seeing a lot of movies. As a filmmaker, the problem is I hardly watch films, which is weird. But now I made it a point to actually see a different film almost every day because there's
Every
more
day.
time, and other than just reflecting, it's good to. I'm trying to almost see one, but sometimes I don't get to see it, but that's the plan, and I'm making a list of stuff that I've seen and stuff I want to watch. So
Mhm.
that's also good. Something I wish I would have done before as well. Just see more films. I used to watch it before I became a filmmaker, but then eventually, I don't know why. Maybe I just felt that I didn't have the time for some reason, but I just stopped watching films as regularly as most people would expect, filmmakers to.
Right, right. Do you watch films now for analytical reasons or you just watch it for fun?
But not for analytical reasons, but like, yeah, for fun, for the experience, or even to kind of disconnect. Sometimes you're watching films now, and it almost feels like it's a different time uh, to what we're experiencing right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it almost feels like as if that used to be a world we used to live in. And hopefully, inshallah, when things get better, it would be like that again. At
Mm-hmm.
least the good parts of it. But it does almost feel like, okay, so if this was today, how would these crowd scenes take place? How would just going to a cafe, what would that feel like in today's world? So when you're watching a film, you almost take it for granted. It's almost like a pre-corona and a post-corona, films,
Right.
which we may have to see in terms of how much does it change. I guess it depends where you are and what the story is. But that just crossed my mind whenever I'm watching, because a lot of these films are old, some of them are, more recent. But
Mm-hmm.
it's mainly to disconnect, and also just to learn. Like as a student, I want to also learn different things when I'm watching it, just to take something from it, and the good ones then stay with me, and then stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, good point. Because when I also watch almost one movie every day. And when I watch them, sort of like
Oh, nice.
worlds in the movies feel like a parallel world to the place, like the situation we are living at the moment. And that's pretty, like, before
Right.
the movies were, they were fictional, but the movies are fictional, but before you feel like, yeah, it's a make believe. You still believe in the world they are creating, but now it's a completely different feeling.
Exactly, because you're just wondering how, like, even there was, like, I was watching a documentary on Oasis, the rock
Mm-hmm.
band, and
Mm-hmm.
you just see the footage, and you're like, how would a concert take place now? How do these people even just go around in a bus? Some moments you just pause and think, okay, how will we ever be able to do that again? Eventually, after some time, you would like to think that things would reach that kind of normalcy, but you can't help but think about it till this thing, like at least for, I guess, some time till things are a bit more like normal. How would it be like that? One good thing is when you look back to the story of what happened like in 1918, people keep bringing up how this had happened before for 2 years, and everybody used to wear masks and they used to be home and everything. So that gives you some hope in terms of how since then things were so normal, before Corona. So I guess that can happen again. But it's just
Mm-hmm.
having to be patient and also not kind of getting lost in the quicksand till we get to that place. So you
Right.
have to stay busy and eventually get back to work and do something or the other.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you can
So
kind of, get into time machine and just fast forward to 2021 or 2022 when everything is fine. That's one option.
one option, yeah. Or like get into a coma for a year or two.
That too. But then there's a risk because there's no guarantee you can get out of it. But yeah,
Right.
if there's a way to uncoma yourself, that's a good
Mm-hmm.
option. That's a good option as well.
So, um, can you maybe elaborate a little bit more on how Pakistan has been doing battling COVID-19? Like you mentioned that the public has like some reaction to it, and maybe the how did the government respond to it?
It's kind of like a mixed bag. I feel like initially when it happened, it was very slow. I guess it's natural when it starts. The first case happened, like a month or so back, and then um, it gradually started picking up. So there's, even the crowd is a mix. Some people don't believe it's real.
Mm.
Some people think it's just, especially till you get affected personally. And it's all kinds of people. It's not just like, okay, people who are in the rural areas or those who are in the cities. It's just a mindset accepting that, because you can't see it. And everybody wants to have their freedoms. Like even in the US, right? The thing is, they still don't buy, most of the people in the middle, like they don't buy that it is something which is going to affect people, and they have to find some way of also living a normal life and also taking
Mm-hmm.
precautions.
Mm-hmm.
So everywhere, that I guess is something which even is happening in Pakistan, where some people are like, it's not such a big deal. It's like, the flu or whatever. But for most cases, I think when the lockdown was in full mode, a lot of people stayed home, for a few weeks. Schools were closed. Schools are still closed. Only things that were open were banks and hospitals. So they were kind of legit in the approach of stopping things from happening. But then gradually, because they wanted, the people also to be able to earn money, the economy in Pakistan is not that strong that it can support everybody. So they had to find some ways to open some industries that people can still work, earn a living, and at the same time they can have certain SOPs, like standard operating procedures, to be safe while they're going to work. But that's now even becoming more and more relaxed in terms of more places have opened up. Public transport, I think, has opened right now, or maybe it's about to open in a couple of days. So that'll be a huge test, because when the buses start and everything is jam packed. So I understand the need to have these things open, but I think they need to be very strict. And the problem is, the people, some people will follow the rules, but the people at large, nobody is that bothered to ensure that, okay, we're going to have a gap between our seats. Even the people on the bus, they probably want more people that they can make more money. So those are things which I feel are going to be determining factors, to whether it's going to, how bad it's going to get. The country, the leadership is saying that, we're prepared, that it's going to probably get worse.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, like the numbers are somewhere like, I think 39 or 40,000 in terms of infections, but the number of deaths are still less. I think maybe it's close to 1,000, give or take, maybe less than that even for now. So the recovery rate is better. Maybe it has to do something with I guess, the environment or just the immune system or something. I don't know. But the recovery rate and the numbers are not as alarming as in most places. But that doesn't mean it couldn't get worse. Because in the last few weeks, the numbers have kind of, it's been increasing very fast.
Okay.
So we just have to wait and see where the end game is. I think we can't stay locked down forever. Eventually, these industries have to open up, but obviously there has to be like a new normal where things aren't exactly the way they were perhaps before Corona. In order to ensure that things are safe and you're also still moving and getting work done and the economy is working and all. So I guess it's finding that balance. So we'll have to wait and see. It isn't, I don't think it's out of control right now. But hopefully, inshallah, it stays that way. It doesn't get any worse based on these recent developments. It's always tricky. Like even when people are going out, they can be safe. I guess that's one way to ensure doing your thing and also not letting it spread.
Thanks. That was a great answer. Thanks.
Oh, thank you. I've practiced that a few times before the show.
So how was your work and life being affected by it? Were you making any film before?
Well, we had I wasn't in actual production at the time, but there was a production which had just come to an end. Sort of like it was a thing for the Fulbright, which is sort of like the TED Talks. So I was involved in sort of helping them, like as a director and consultant for the production of that show, where people come and people were well known or sort of accomplished alumni, and they had a show where they used to come and have a talk about their work. So luckily that production had just wrapped up and we were just finalizing the edit for that. when Corona had started, where it was still kind of just, people talking about it. Um, and then suddenly it came, and I was doing some workshops. So the production works is kind of okay. I'm not sure what the status is right now, but they're not shooting anything. The shooting was done, so I'm sure post production can still happen. But my workshops, I had to adapt where I'm going to have to look into doing them online, because physically going to a location for because I also started doing some workshops for writing and directing, and that's something which I've had to adapt and bring it online.
Mm.
So I've taken sort of like a break in Ramadan, but now since it's coming to an end, I'm going to probably reach out again to see how I can perhaps start that online. And also, I want to get back to writing. Usually you're always busy, and people, we make excuses that we don't have time to write. Um, but now I guess the mental side of Corona is kind of settled down. First you're kind of wishing it finishes quickly, or you're dealing with what's going to happen and all that. I think now to accept this new normal maybe allows us to even focus on the work. Okay, like for a year this is it. Accept it. Be
Mm.
safe. Try to help people, etc. Same time, start working. So I
Mm-hmm.
want to start writing, and I hope I can use this time for that, along with the workshops and along with whatever, maybe to develop projects as compared to being in the physical production of it, at least for some time. I wanted to do a music video for a friend of mine, so that had to kind of stop as well. So maybe we can find something around that. Maybe we can do something in a small way, or without getting into affecting spreading corona, etc., social distancing and all that.
Wow, that's a
So
lot
I
of
guess it's
projects.
okay.
Yeah.
So, but yes, I'm hoping to see which one, how I can perhaps pursue something which is safe, and also this is a good time for. So I'm thinking developing, because usually when you're busy, you don't develop things. So if I can mentally focus to write, I think that would be a big accomplishment for me. Just to be able to focus and build a routine
Mm.
within this situation,
Mm-hmm.
because the pressure is less. Since things are otherwise slowing down. So hopefully I can do something like that, and maybe
Yeah.
do some stand-up routines. I always wanted to do stand-up as well, so I'm gonna probably come up with some. I know you have been doing it, so you can give me some advice. But
Oh.
maybe something I'd like to do something light, especially even with like when you reached out for the podcast, right? Like I was like, I've been talking to a couple of people that maybe one can do something which is entertainment, but I haven't
Mm-hmm.
figured out what exactly. Something
Mm-hmm.
which is lighthearted and maybe even act it out. Because I have a friend who's really talented in terms of doing personalities and stuff. Um, so his name is Adil. In fact, he's a musician too. So if we can get something together, maybe you never know. But again, we just talk till it's actually done. Maybe this inspires you to push it a bit more. Let's see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great to hear that you're gonna create something. So you mentioned that that you at Ramadan you're just slowing, everything slows down a bit. Is this Ramadan different from before?
Definitely. One thing is this time when Ramadan came, I just felt it's almost like a blessing in terms of the timing, because usually Ramzan, you stop everything. Most things are, you work less relatively. You spend some time reflecting. You pray. You have the sunrise to sunset where you don't eat or drink, but you also get moments where you hit the pause button. Corona has forced everybody to hit the pause button. So when Ramadan sort of started, it almost felt like a blessing, because you feel, okay, now we're doing this anyway, where we're taking things easy. You get time to be, reflect a bit about yourself and what's going on and stuff. So that part is good. The only thing is, people used to go and meet each other more, like for Ramadan. So when they break the fast, there used to be a lot of gatherings happening where people meet each other and they eat. Um, to break the fast together, or even to have the breakfast together early morning. So that obviously had stopped, because people are staying safe and they're staying home. Restaurants are closed. very rarely would somebody go to somebody's house to, maybe unless they're living nearby and they know each other and stuff like that in terms of taking precautions. Um, but to some extent, that's also good, because regularly in Ramadan, people waste a lot of food. The
Mm.
purpose of fasting is to eat less, to reflect, and to learn from that. But people usually eat a lot, and then even when they break the fast, they overeat. So now I think but when you're doing it at home, you can manage how much you eat and what you have and everything. So I think that's even been in a way good. Usually I also overeat, but this time I've been managing it, and I feel it's better that you're kind of, you're actually living it more in the spirit of Ramadan as compared to
Mm.
like a regular Ramadan. So it's
Wow.
in most ways it's been good.
Mm.
I felt like it was a blessing that it came at this time, and I feel overall it's been a good, good Ramadan. And the weather's been really nice. It went by really. It's like 30, almost. Usually it's around 30 fasts, and I think today was the 22nd, 22nd or 23rd. So it's like just a few left.
Mm. Like, yeah, I mean, I've never personally experienced it, but it sounds like, yeah, you're taking it pretty well and having
Yeah, yeah.
having a
Doing good.
relaxed Ramadan. So, is there anything in particular that you really want to do that you can't do right now?
I guess it's meeting friends, or just being able. I guess the physical part of it, like in terms of like even with your parents, you're like, for me, my main concern is, especially with this Corona thing. I mean, I'm blessed in many ways and I'm happy, but the thing is, I'm just concerned about them, because I'm like saying, so you have to be extra careful just because they're also older now in terms of age. So sometimes I'm just a little extra concerned about their well-being. So in terms of being careful for that, I would wish that, things were normal, that I didn't have to stress about Corona, coming and, getting, infected or something like that. Because sometimes you hear stories and, there have been some people, not in Pakistan, but abroad, that
Mm.
I've heard, like family friends or somebody who had know somebody who actually did get affected, and one of them even sadly passed away. And then there's another family which got saved. So that percentage stays at the back of your head, and you would wish that's something I wish didn't exist. It's like another
Mm.
layer of concern, which would not have been there if it wasn't for this thing being so easily contagious or kind of unpredictable in terms of its impact on an individual. So I just wish that part of it, to be able to hug your folks without being worried that, oh, I may, have touched something. Um, I think that's something I would look forward to be able to do that. Even like my nephews and nieces, just to be able to be relaxed in terms of the physical closeness and not be worried about, getting something
Mm.
getting something and infecting them. Like for
Mm.
me, I feel I'm okay, but I'm more concerned that if it's somebody who's, small or like vulnerable, then you don't want to be able to. So that makes you a little safe. I mean, you become a bit protective for their sake, and then in a way you become physically slightly distant, perhaps. Which I think to some time we have to. You don't have a choice because if you want things to be okay. But that's the part which I don't like, and I would wish that and hopefully, I mean, as a country and as a people, we can learn. I know the environment is benefiting, and everybody's also being able to spend time with family, which otherwise they didn't have. There are definitely a lot of, I would say, to some extent, even things which are good learnings and things maybe perhaps people can continue to do after this is over. But the bit which I don't like was that bit which I mentioned. And I would wish
Mm.
that eventually stops as well.
Mm.
So like but now they are. In the beginning it was like I was the only one who was trying to be careful. But now there is good because it's not easy when you're on your own.
Mm.
You want everybody's like a team effort. Everybody is careful for each other, and at the same time, you also want to continue living your life the best you can. So I guess it's finding a balance and using common sense, and you know, hopefully you stay safe and inshallah get through this without something bad happening.
Mhm. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the sneeze has become a powerful weapon, you know, nowadays in terms of if anybody sneezes somewhere, it has a powerful impact, especially if you want, if you're in a crowded place and if you want room, all you have to do is fake a sneeze, and suddenly people, will move away. So that's,
Yeah.
has elevated the power of the sneeze. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's interesting.
Hmm. Hmm. Personally, I haven't seen that, but like to imagine a scenario where in a crowded place somebody suddenly does that. That's wow. Yeah, I mean,
You should try it
yesterday.
if you are, but I wouldn't try it, I guess, because people can get paranoid.
Right,
So
right.
I wouldn't try it, but it's just an interesting thought.
Yesterday, Popeyes opened its first first chain in Shanghai, and there
Oh
was a
wow.
huge line, like this huge line.
But nobody was sneezing in the line, you're saying.
Yeah, because you brought it up, I was like, maybe,
Yeah.
maybe if
I
somebody
wonder.
sneezed, yeah,
I wonder.
that would
Maybe
be
they get
funny.
up ahead in the line.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be crazy though.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
Like just for fried chicken, and you just
Don't underestimate the power of good fried chicken. Fried chicken. People might be willing to do stuff like that. You never know. But that's cool that things are in such a position that a new eating place can open up.
Woo!
see who popped up.
I think so. It's like somebody hacked the system. I just where'd you go?
JC in the house.
Yeah. Hello, hello.
This guy's been. Hey, what's up, man?
Hey,
Check it out.
Leia,
How you
Yeah,
doing?
yeah.
who's this person that you're talking to? I don't recognize this person.
He used to have long hair. You remember him? He used to have long hair.
Dude,
Ah,
this is like one of those. It's like one of those shows where this dude comes out of a box. You know?
the new,
Send me as JC.
the new Elach. This is
How
classical
come he
stuff,
comes
man.
and goes?
This
Hey,
is classical.
how you is, man?
Good. What's up with
Juan
you, man?
Carlos,
Hey, can you
man, I'm happy to see you, man.
would love to talk to your brother Adnan. Can you bring him up and have him come up so we can say hi to him? Hi to him.
But what this is not, I'm starting to feel there's some kind of setup.
I
Like
was.
how did JC like
No.
JC hacked the system though?
I
But this
Yeah,
guy
he
is pretty
did.
good at technology. He acts like he's simple. He acts like he's simple, like he doesn't know how to touch a smartphone. But in the last couple of years, he's elevated his game to such a level that he's been able to hack the system, break into the Shanghai network, and to get onto the Zoom call to see what's going on.
Yo, what's up, man?
Man.
Hey, nice haircut, bro. Nice look.
Hi.
Photo redo.
Hey, thanks,
Nice.
man. Hey, it was if there's any time to look funny is the lockdown, man.
Nice.
I just one day, just said it's a good risk. It's a good time to take a risk.
Nice time. Good, bro. Good. Hi, Leia. Hey, thank you so
Hi,
much.
Hey,
how you doing?
how you
Where
doing?
is JC? Is JC in Shanghai or is he?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here in Shanghai. I not too far from Leia.
You
I'm
you had an
here.
easy flight? Are you like, if you flip the camera, Leia's on the opposite side?
Hey, by the way, Leia, thank you for having me. Thank you for.
Yeah. No, I wasn't in on this.
Hey, but I'm very happy to be here. Good to see you, my bro.
Good to see you.
And good to see you, Leia. Good to see you.
Good to see you, man.
How's everything going?
What a beautiful surprise, man.
Yeah.
I almost had like a little
Yeah.
tear thing.
Hey, it was.
Because I haven't seen this guy for a while. This guy's been like MIA for some time, even on WhatsApp.
It's been a
even
minute,
on,
man.
because I'm sure he's crazy busy with what's going on. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's been a while. So just send me pop for a second. I thought, hang on a second, like what was that? And then he comes back.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's been busy, man. It's been busy, but we good. We good. We're real good.
Really good. Okay,
How you doing today,
that's what I
Leia?
like to hear, man.
I was doing okay until you showed up. I was doing good. I'm kidding.
Oh no. Oh no. I'm
No,
sorry.
so this is not planned.
Leia, you have to understand, like I'm so sorry I disrupted the whole thing, but this had to happen. It just had to happen.
Yeah, I'm glad to reconnect you too.
But
To see this beautiful
but I'm
man
surprised,
on our
Leia.
show.
It's like the Oprah show.
Yeah.
The thing is that what I'm surprised is that Leia, you have such a high tech system in place, like firewalls and security and all of that. I'm surprised how Juan Carlos, like he really has upped his game, that he was able to hack, because he took some time, right? We've been talking for some time. So he's just been hacking it nonstop, and suddenly bang, he just locked into the
Bro,
into the system.
bro, you're talking to Leia, okay? That's like, I mean, that's like legit stuff.
I
Right?
know. It's no joke.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
she's a step
This is
above
the LY show.
us. All of us. No matter how hard we try.
This is
That's just the reality. Leia's at another level.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Oh,
no
you
doubt.
flatter me.
But you made the system.
Yeah.
Well, I'll
Give it
just settle
credit.
So you
for
can control the system too.
like a humble host of a show. And we're having two guests on the show.
Wow. But you already put, like, I didn't know you could do that, like in these shows. On TV you see people jump out of a box, but like on a Zoom call, you had the same thing done. This might be the first time it's ever happened, like on a live podcast where somebody just pops up. I won't be surprised if Richie suddenly pops up. Somebody else suddenly pops up.
Classic guy. Hey, what were you guys talking about? What were you guys on to?
We're talking about Popeyes
Popeyes?
for
As
no
in like
reason.
as like the fast food chain?
Yeah,
Yeah.
fried
Really?
chicken.
Fried chicken. Yeah, because
That
Popeyes
guy just
opened
opened this.
first Popeyes.
Just now?
Yeah. It's
Oh,
yesterday.
really?
Yeah.
Did you try it?
No, it was there was a huge line. Like
Yeah.
everybody in the town like showed up for it. I don't know why.
Well, the
It's
new
crazy.
thing. So
It's fried chicken.
I'm
It's
not
fried
too
chicken.
experienced. I'm not too experienced with a product, but they're supposed to have like a pretty legit fried chicken. And I think, don't quote me on this, but I think they're supposed to have like a real good fried chicken sandwich. I think they're supposed to be good at it.
Mm.
So I've had their popcorn shrimp. They got this popcorn shrimp. I've had it. It's pretty decent. Yeah, it's pretty good. So, and I've had
Alright.
their
JC likes his JC likes fried things a lot.
yeah, I
So
love it.
he likes
I
to
love
have,
it.
fried fish,
Yeah, right.
fried everything fried.
But I have had the shrimp, and I've also they also have this other thing called the butterfly shrimp. I've had that too. Popcorn shrimp, butterfly shrimp. It's pretty decent. I wish it. On some level, I wish I ate chicken because it sounds like fried chicken from Popeyes would be pretty good.
But anyways, are we talking about food now? What's your favorite food, Adnan?
Well, I like fried chicken, but I think I would say, cake, brownies and cake. That's my main, thing. So every now and then, my sister actually bakes brownies every now and then. So she sends some over because she doesn't live too far from here. So that's like a nice little blessing to have. Sometimes you're craving something because a lot of these places are closed. Some bakeries are open, but you tend not to eat out. You'd rather get stuff, made in the house. So I would say my craving for that has been pretty much taken care of. So I'm okay in terms of the food, in terms of I can get brownies and stuff every now and then. So, I'm okay. in that department.
Do you cook every day now?
Um, like maybe alternate day, we make something in the house, the
Mm.
whole family eats together. So it lasts for a day, and it's Ramadan. So usually every alternate day, or we have breakfast together, then we break the fast together. So it's pretty decent. It's pretty good. It's I think in terms of food and all, it's fine. It's more just if I'm craving something, it might be maybe sometimes like a pizza, a simple
Mm.
thing like that.
Mm.
But it's not the end of the world.
Mm.
If I wasn't able to get those brownies, then I don't know. Then I might have had some issues. But thankfully, that's taken care of. So I'm doing okay. So where'd the other guy go? Is it almost feels like a normal regular show. And I'm like, no. Or where did JC sit? Like suddenly, the vibe is become more formal.
Hey,
Hey, there
this,
you go. So there he is. He's still there.
this is a show, you
What
know.
about JC? Yeah, JC, JC is good. He has a lot of good salads and stuff. So what's your situation like? How are you doing your dietary situation? You're good. You're making stuff at home. You're pretty good as well in the kitchen, I think.
Oh yeah, most def, man. I'm basically cooking almost every day. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah. Almost cooking every day. Um, at times, obviously, because the quarantine in the States. I mean, we're talking right now. It's been, I want to say, a solid 2 months. Pretty solid. Even probably even more. I'm not exactly sure how long, but it's got to be about at least 2 months. So I'm sure I'm in the same boat with
Yeah.
some other people that have been cooking a lot at home, and then it gets a little old at some point. So what I do is I just go out and I get myself some food outside sometimes, not all the time, but I do go out at times. But I've been cooking a lot. I like it. I enjoy making my own food. That's for sure. So having fun with that.
Yeah.
Great.
But the thing though is, like, I've had to kind of like alter my system a little bit and change a little bit, because at the beginning of the quarantine, when the thing hit, and there was this sense, like, there was this weird sense out there in the streets that it was kind of like pandemonium, like not pandemonium. It was like almost like in a way, for a couple of weeks, it felt like a post-apocalyptic sort of feeling, where like
Hmm.
there was nothing in the
Yeah. The end of
supermarket.
days.
Yeah, there was nothing in the supermarkets. There was no
Yeah.
toilet paper, none of that, right? So you go out there and you kind of start
Toilet
feeling what's
paper.
going on. And what happened to me personally, talking about food, is interesting, because I went out and I looked at what was going on. I was like, wow, it's pretty severe what's going on in terms of like people going nuts and just taking everything right from the supermarkets. So I'm like, okay, what do I do? So I devised this system, because I cook for myself and I always have. So that's all I can do, right? So I devised a system where I was like, well, if there's not gonna be food out there, if it's gonna be like very limited, then I'm just gonna get the most basic things. Like I'm just gonna get like a whole bunch of potatoes. I'm just gonna get like a whole bunch of apples. I'm just gonna get like a whole bunch of, like, what else did I get? A whole bunch of carrots.
Chia
Like the most
seeds.
carrots.
Chia
A couple.
seeds.
No, not none of that. Like this was not the
No
time to
chia
be
seeds.
having like this was not the time to be having like chia seeds or organic this and organic that. I basically got the most
The
basic stuff,
basics.
the basic stuff that, by the way, stuff that you could also have
Yeah.
and keep for a long time. So I just bought this whole thing, but at the end of the day, it ended up being that every day, basically my nutrition and my diet was like super, super basic, right? I would have like potatoes with
Hmm.
carrots, salad, and maybe like a fish or something. And that might sound great. And I'm very thankful that I have food and I have food all throughout. But after a little while, it was like the same thing every day, very little ingredients, not much. So I was like, it really got old for me, and I had to rearrange, and I had to start doing things differently. And then I started to venture more out and buying more and being like, yeah, I can get more of this because now this is available. So it was a very bizarre experience, a humbling experience to understand that, you know, I'm part of, also, we're all part of the collective, of course. And even though my
Hmm.
mentality when this whole thing started was not as severe as maybe I feel like it was out there. You also have to adjust to that because, you know, that's what's available. The food that was available is was available. So I had to, you know, get down with that program for a little bit. So it's very, very humbling to be in that situation. Like, wow, that's all I can depend on. My own way of getting my food, my money that I have to buy the food. So this is all I can get for now. And for a couple of weeks was very scarce. Was like, damn, like there's not a lot available right now, or at least not for me. So it was pretty. It was a very good learning experience. But now, long story short, or this is a long-winded answer to your question about food. Now I'm eating more, like way more other stuff, and happy to be doing that.
Great.
So, yeah.
I think
Nice.
it's true because I think we end up also realizing that we need less, right, compared to more. So
Oh,
you
most
plan
def.
ahead, and sometimes in a normal routine, you take so much stuff, and suddenly you realize that you can do with less. And
Most
obviously, I
def.
get it. You eventually want to change it up. So I guess you can step out and get takeaway or something. I don't know how many places, I mean, are open otherwise, but I think yeah. So I mean, so life is okay. Like I feel like it's still. Uh, some places, the challenge is more, but I think in terms of the basic necessities that we have, we're still blessed in terms of being able to
Oh
continue
yeah.
eating, living,
Mm.
meeting,
Yeah.
talking,
It's a big.
walking, stuff like that.
I agree. It's a big challenge for everyone, wherever you are in the world. This is one of the beautiful lessons about this whole thing that has happened. That it doesn't matter where you at. It doesn't matter that you're in Pakistan, Leia
Mm.
in Shanghai. I'm in Cali days. It really doesn't make much of a difference, you know. Like, and it doesn't matter in what class you are or I am or how much money. This was a situation. This was an experience that slap. You know, it's a slap on the face. Like, you know, get your priorities straight. It don't
Mm.
matter where you come from, what language you speak, how much money you got. Like it really, you know, it really makes you, you know, I mean, damn, it's been a time to reflect. so
Humbling.
so like
It's good.
so
It's
many
humbling.
lessons. Like one big lesson also in this humbling experience for me, besides the reality hitting you in the face that you've been consuming and you've been overbuying and you've been overspending so much. It's also the fact that, you know, honestly, I just have to be clear with you. Like one thing that I keep going through every day almost now is the fact that how important it is to be prepared for situations, but not as much in the physical sense of having food or having money, but your mindset really. Because what I saw, I'm still at times when I plug in at times to some of the news that come out on social media or on the news, it's like it's pretty horrific. Like the way that the news, I feel, at least me personally, the way that the communication has been put out there into the world has been very irresponsible. You know, like they created a situation, and obviously this is a very, very big challenge and very serious, of course, but also the way that it's been communicated from different outlets, it's been, I think, irresponsible. So a lot of the reactions that I saw from people and in the streets and things like that, it was really like, did we really have to get to a point where you go to the supermarket and there's no toilet paper? You know, it's like that don't make no sense really. Like it was just like certain things that I feel like we're so you know, the way people react sometimes. And I've been in that situation, of course, in the past, where I just feel like their reactions were so more taking off, taking taking from the solution
Mm.
instead of helping. So it's very important to, you know,
Yeah.
really maintain and really really protect your mindset, really be make sure that like you're protected, because anyone can influence you either, you know,
Mm.
in whatever ways. You know, everyone has a story, everyone has a piece of news, everyone has some kind of conspiracy theory. It's
Mm.
very important to be centered, be balanced, know what's important, know what to do, where to go, what are the emergency measures, but also not get into the hysteria and the pandemonium and the, apocalyptic
The end of
basically.
the world. Yeah,
Yeah, so
Mm.
the end
that's
of the
one big
days. Like the Arnold Schwarzenegger film. It's
exactly.
not the
Like
Arnold
there was
Schwarzenegger film
there
when
was
they did.
there was there was literally that, you know what I'm saying? Like here for example in Cali days, I've never been more proud of this country, you know what I'm saying? Like I think especially as Cali days stand, I see a state that, we growing strong. It's been beautiful how people have gone together. But I saw some things that were kind of like alarming to me. Like I remember one day I was driving around town just to go to the beach, and I go past this store that I never seen before. It was in a small corner, and I see this long ass line, and I'm like, why is this place so full? Right? Because I never knew this place to be a grocery store. So the only thing that came to my mind was
It's
like,
not
well,
a Popeyes.
people are buying Popeyes, people are buying things to keep in the freezer, right? I thought it was like some kind of
Right.
like grocery store, but I never seen it. So I'm like, what is this place? Then I drive closer, and then I noticed that the place was a place that sold ammo, for weapons and stuff like that. And I'm like, wow, damn, like, and
Wow.
this is
It's
happening all over the place, where like when this thing hit, people in social media
that we
posting
may
about,
need ammo. Exactly. Yeah, that's
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like
You're right.
people
And that
talking about this thing, lines, and all due respect to whoever owns weapons, because I think it's one of our rights. Yes, I do, totally. But I mean that don't make
Do
much
you do
sense to
you
me.
think Hollywood action films is to blame here?
That's a good question. Yeah, I think we have a
was if
responsibility. I think we have part of the weight of the responsibility of these things too. Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
it's funny. It's funny because the way this thing played out, especially in the US, it's very unique to a lot of other places. Like in terms of the guns and then the protests and then the physicality of the protests. Like I heard something happen in I don't know which state it was where people came with guns onto the in the offices just because they wanted to step out. Obviously these were people who were hurting, right? They're getting affected by the economy. They have jobs. I can
Yeah.
understand that plight, but and people need to eat. People need money to eat as well. But the thing is, the ammo aspect of it is very, because in films, usually when you see this, the end of the world, exactly the same thing happens. Stores get empty. It becomes a situation where people are roaming around with guns. Like maybe people are scared that maybe a situation, obviously it's not that bad right now. And obviously, I think the governments also fixed the beginning where things were kind of, I'm sure you can get toilet paper today, but that hysteria does come from some kind of, I guess, Hollywood mindset where whenever there's something like this happening, it's the end of the world. Get your guns, get your toilet paper, get your
Yeah.
food, go in the basement, stuff like that. And I think that perhaps played out in the first few days. And hopefully some kind of normalcy can come back where it isn't that bad. And I think the news, JC, is right that it does play in that hysteria because in the beginning, what the news did was even in Pakistan, what the news was just showing you the number of infections, the number of people killed, state by state, province by province. Nobody was showing the number of people that have recovered. That is a very positive number, which people need to see as well. Like when you see the big number, you see just number of deaths. A person can get overwhelmed thinking that okay, this is the end of the world. There's nothing good is coming. Like nobody's recovering from this. But eventually, you see that the recovery numbers are much larger than the unfortunate ones, which are where deaths have happened. And I think it's important to keep that number in front as well. That people see that this is something. It is a real challenge. There are ways to cope with it, but it's not just misery. It is also
Most
to
deaf.
cope with it. The purpose is to be safe, that more other people don't get affected. But the recovery rate is a part where people are being careful and are doing the right thing. It can get better, and everybody getting affected is not gonna, God forbid, have the worst outcome. They'll eventually get over it.
Most
So I
deaf.
think that number should also be always on the ticker. I think even some news channels today, they don't show you the recoveries. They just show you the other numbers. And that
Yeah,
always
that don't.
can overwhelm a person. I
Yeah,
stopped looking at the news.
that don't make money. That don't make money. That's at the end of the day, that don't make money. So
Mm.
to
Yeah,
to
yeah.
to to add
Hollywood.
to add to what you
Yeah.
were saying, and to also, in a way, reply also give Leia a little more on an answer to her question. So I do feel like, yeah, there's you know, because we basically, whether we like it or not, we influence the whole world. You know, we influence the whole world. That's our reality here in the U.S. We know it. We influence the whole world, and in a place like Cali Days, where we control basically Hollywood, we are Hollywood. I think there's responsibility there, obviously, but I would add to that that I personally don't feel like that's obviously. I don't think that's the reason, the main reason. I do feel like it's more about the news, and I'm talking about the news worldwide. I'm talking about internationally. I'm talking about social media, especially internationally. That to me is the main you know, area of, at least in my opinion, of responsibility. How it's been handled, I feel like it's being totally irresponsible. In times of tribulation like this, we need media that's actually kind of like putting out a message of healing. They were doing the opposite. So I think those are the sort of entities that I put more more responsibility on. Because if you're like, you know, if you're just a normal human being and that's all you're watching all day, that's all you're consuming all day, then you believe that story. That's your story, you know. And then you, not only that, but then you start, if you're not aware, if you're not conscious of the situation, then you start spreading that all over the place to your family, to your friends. So my something that stayed with me all throughout this is that it's like, okay, very important, you know, like keep your mindset, keep your sanity, and protect your
Common sense and
so,
yeah,
it's time.
I
keep
mean,
moving forward. But I think that one of the reasons also the flip is also this, which I've seen is, and I guess I don't know if the right answer is to go paranoia like the news channels are going, but I think some people still don't believe this thing is real. You know, and I don't know if the news people get motivated to keep ramming those numbers to those people that, hey man, this is real. But it's obviously having a negative effect, because either some people learn the hard way, or some people, you know, they want to scare to death so much that they are trying to say, okay, somebody is going to do something. But I guess the government can break the rules, and the news can help find a balance between facts and also, like he said, healing. Like, you know, that show the good stuff as well, show the progress being happening. Since this thing has started, yes, a lot of things bad have happened, but I'm sure good things are also happening. You know, those stories need to come forward more, that people can have some room to breathe and even feel that it's not the end of the world. You know, like I mean, some people are more rational than others. Some people aren't. Some people get completely scared. Some think it's a joke, it's a fake thing. And some people are in the middle. So the balance on the left and the right, where people are at two extremes, they need to find some way to keep things balanced for them. Otherwise, you know, both of those, like you have disconnects in societies, and then eventually, because of others, you may end up having problems, you know, and you want that. Like, this is a team effort. Everybody has to do the right thing for everybody else, because you can't run away from it. There's no hiding.
Most def, like to that point, like for example, like look at China, for example, like, you know, like the just the beauty of you know, a nation that went through a very difficult time and is still going through it with the whole world. But for example, I look at China and I really feel good because I see that things are getting much better, you know, that things are being way much better. I mean, you look at it, like just the idea, like just it warms my heart just to know that a Popeyes is opening, you know, like in the middle of all this.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, we need more of that. We need more Popeyes being open.
That
Like, all
shows
over the
things
world,
are
you know?
normal.
Let's do it.
Yes.
So,
Like
yeah,
Leia, like
yeah,
Leia
share
just said it
that,
so casually, you know, like for us, like, yeah, because things
share
are, how
that
everything is closed, people aren't even,
positivity. That's the
exactly. But
positive news you need. The
Popeyes
yeah,
opening.
Popeyes. Yeah.
people, because people here are saying that places are shutting down, and Leia's like, you know, by the way, we just had a new Popeyes, and there was like a long queue. It's like surreal, you know, but shows
Right
that that
on.
can come eventually, you know, that
Right on.
eventually things can reach that kind of normalcy because it's not that far away. China went through a tough time, they're still dealing with it, but they have shown that things can eventually reach a new normal. Things can happen a bit differently, but still continue towards that which we're seeking till we have like a vaccine, you know?
Most def. Over here in the U.S. too, we on our way. You know, we already opening, you know, Cali days all over the country. We're opening already. So we're going forward. We're not going to stay the same. We're going to move forward. And we're going to have to deal with this. And we'll get to that point where China is and this and that. But I wanted to say real quick, Leia, I'm so sorry. I'm taking so much time from you guys' this interview. I wanted to say that that I love you guys. I'm gonna sign off so you can finish. Thank you for having me on. And what I do feel like we should do. This is
man. What's?
Listen to this. This is a very important piece of advice, Leia. Find a picture from Adnan where, you know, before his haircut, and please put it up in the show when you put this up.
I will.
So
I will.
So that the good people can see the difference.
I will. Really glad to have you here. That was so much fun.
Hey, it's good to see you. It's good to see you, bro. Thank you, JC. Although I know you're still going to be sneaking. I know you're going nowhere. I know you're still there. But it's good to see you, man.
It's so. Hey,
love you, man. Check
this out. It's so good to see both of you. We're waiting to see both of you back in the U.S. when everything is good, you know, and healthy. So you guys stay healthy, stay good, stay blessed. I wish nothing but the best to you and all your
families.
And we'll be in touch.
No guns.
All right. You know this time. Peace.
Peace, man. Take care.
Peace.
That was good, man. That was a nice move, Leia. Nicely done.
Yeah. But I still got questions.
JC answered a few of them, but if you want whatever is not answered yet, we can go over them for sure. I was saying like the like Pakistan, China also have a pretty long history in terms of the relationship. So I think whatever progress is being made in China might, you know, hopefully even, you know, then I think some things we're also working on together in terms of the vaccine and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that hopefully, like, you know, the more progress you guys make there, it's a good sign for at least, you know, things that, you know, even happen in Pakistan and also eventually, you know, like the whole world in terms of, you know, because I think some countries have handled it well. You know, China is one of them.
Hair.
New Zealand is another one.
Check that
There you go. Hey, man, what is this?
Wow.
What's up, Richie?
What is that?
That's a, you know what I was talking about serious with Leia, and suddenly Leia's expression changed. So I was like, okay, so why suddenly she's laughing, and suddenly Richie popped up. What's up, man?
Surprise.
I have to admit, Richie, you did a good one. I knew it. I mean, it's good. It's good, like how, you know, it's like I'm a simple man. You know, I surprise people in the real world, like simple. And Richie had to take it to another level where he goes into the virtual world and he pulls a surprise even in the days of Corona. You know, he can surprise through this whole. I wouldn't be surprised if this whole thing is a setup.
There's never a podcast.
It's like you never know. It's like Leia's just, you know, develop some shit. Leia's like, you never know. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, gotta get you.
That's a nice background.
That's
someday, somewhere.
Yeah, maybe it's not appropriate.
Yeah, it's a nice background, Richie.
Yeah, I'll take it off. How's everything going?
No, it's good. It's good, man. How are you doing? How are you? I think you also cut your hair, didn't you?
Yeah, sort of. My roommate sort of.
You've done a little.
Yeah.
How'd you do it? Did you do it yourself or somebody do it for you?
Mike's wife, Maggie, did it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
How's the interview going?
The
interview went.
Leia has me against the ropes.
No, it was a good interview, and then
I'm
JC
looking forward to seeing it. Did you get to see our interview?
That was good.
Did you?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you haven't? Gotta check it out.
Is it online?
Yeah.
Is it online?
Yeah, you should have watched
Okay,
it
see, I don't know.
before.
I should have.
Yeah.
Maybe I wonder if anybody surprised you in that. See, I didn't even. I told Leah even to send me the questions, and I just saw the questions now. But I think it would have been good to see your thing as well, to maybe prepare myself for stuff like
You can
this,
compare.
where people
You can
suddenly
see if
pop up.
you can see if our interview is better than yours. Are you guys still going?
This is good. I can finally see all three of you. I'm not sure. It's an LY show, whatever Leah wants.
It's out of my control now. Were you worried about JC and Richie before they showed up? Were you like, oh, maybe they're like, I wonder what they're doing?
Oh, did I have a feeling? To be honest with you, no. I had a feeling that Richie's up for this thing. I was like, Richie, did you suggest to Leah or something about the, for the podcast? Because I told him that, hey, Leah reached out regarding the thing. So I was suspicious there that maybe Richie told you that, hey, check, why don't you get him or something? So then, so I wasn't expecting this at all. When JC popped up, I have to admit, I mean, it was a masterstroke. Although, for the record, I've got Richie like numerous times in person. I've got him like 4 or 5 times on video. Although this is on video too now. But the thing is that, but this was definitely like I didn't have a clue. I wasn't expecting at all. Especially not like halfway through, because you just asked because you're a professional, Leah, so you just asked those questions in a very professional way. We started informal, then we became formal, and then you had all those deep, powerful, dramatic questions, and then suddenly, boom! I see this guy as if he's, sitting in the Caribbean or something. He's got a flag at the back, and it was JC. For a second, it took me to register that, that's him, and this is okay. This is what's happening. So it was good, but it's good. I think it's made the whole thing more interesting, to have, these big names to, pop in, special appearances.
Yeah, special guest.
And it's been a while. It's been a while. Yeah, and it's been a while as well.
I was suggesting to Leah that you should just start popping up randomly in all her interviews. Just like you just show up as
other people.
You could be the antagonist, You show up.
Well, you've
take over,
done that now, right? Like with your
what?
Yeah, there should be like fireworks and effects happening.
It's like a theme song.
And,
yeah.
Exactly. Like a big, the Black Sabbath song or something.
Yeah. Or for you, I guess it'd be Bob Dylan, right? Or I guess it would be.
But Bob Dylan is such a nice guy.
Jim Morrison. It'd be Jim Morrison.
Then Van Morrison.
Van Morrison, sorry.
Not Jim. Yeah, and they're not related. Okay. But the thing is, but they're so relaxed, so it wouldn't be the scary. Then it'd be like almost like a welcome surprise. You want to scare people like it's the end of the world.
Have Donald Trump show up, or like just an image. People
can probably make that happen. I mean, Leah has the connections.
Damn.
Just do his voice. You should do some impersonations. That's something I haven't seen Adnan do yet. Impersonations.
Yeah, because Adnan can't do impersonations. What do you mean I haven't seen that? It's like saying I haven't seen JC fly.
But you do some good accents, though. You do a good Australian accent. You do a good Irish.
Scottish, yeah. It's not happening now, man. But yeah, maybe.
Too much pressure.
maybe on the, too much pressure. Maybe like on the do something for entertainment or something like a skit.
Yeah.
So I think Adil, like my friend, he's great. He could really do a lot of impersonations.
That guy is.
So if we plan it,
so talented.
Richie's heard some of his stuff too. Like maybe one plan something, like like almost like a show. Like this is like a real thing. Conceive a skit where it's staged but it's funny, and I guess conveys something in the process.
Yeah. So Leia, I don't know if you know about his buddy, but this guy is like so talented. He's a musician. He does the blues, but I guess he also does like rock, right? And he's a really funny guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Like he does these impersonations. He could do like all sorts of voices, and
Wow.
he's just super
Yeah.
super quick. Yeah, it's
He could
impressive.
come like in character, and he can do like he can do Scooby Doo, which is tough, and he can do Donald Duck. Those two are tough ones, you know. And I mean, this is like the tough ones. Otherwise, like it's all these random people, but those two are tough because they take a lot of effort to, you know, especially to have them say stuff. But yeah, he could maybe come in character or something.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, he's a musician.
Wow.
Like he's a pretty philosophical guy. But he has this side to him which is more fun and, you know, animated. And so I think there's definitely something one can put together.
Yeah, yeah. For a special
Well, I don't want
segment
to
for the
ruin
podcast.
your interview anymore, so
All
I'll let
right.
you guys
Oh man,
continue.
this is made it
Plus, it's
better.
2 a.m. in China.
This is what, okay. So I get it. I get it. So now Richie goes, and after some time, somebody else is gonna pop. This is nice. You guys keep doing your thing. It's like Richie came and went, and Richie goes and suddenly. So I had to keep an eye on Leia's expression because her expression changed. The moment somebody, I didn't notice it with JC, but I noticed it with Richie. He gave it away when suddenly I knew something was not right, and then suddenly, bang.
Well, it's good talking to you.
Alright,
We'll talk
yeah.
again soon, for sure.
We'll talk again.
Hey man, it's good
Yeah.
to see you. It's good to see you, Richie. Say hi to Mike for me too, man.
We'll do.
Good to see you, bro.
Yeah, I'll say
Take
hi
care.
to Mike for you and Leia.
Yeah.
Nice shirt.
good. All right.
Yeah. Maggie
Alright,
too.
let's-
I've never met Maggie, but yeah, Maggie too.
How do you feel?
That was good. I feel like I've run a marathon or something, but
Emotional roller coaster.
but it's good. And well, yeah, and within I don't know, we started. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's been that long. It almost feels like it's been almost 2 hours, but it feels like half an hour.
Mhm.
I think because you added so much variety. In fact, thank you for that. Like you've given, you know, broke it up into a way where it's long, but it doesn't feel like it's
Yeah.
long.
Mhm. So
So you're like a real
Let's-
professional. So now when
let's
you look down at
get-
your phone, I know
Right.
somebody else is.
no more, I promise. No more.
Sure. No, but it's good. It's good fun. Thank you for making it happen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned that you were missing your
Nice.
friends and yeah, you got to see some of your friends.
Yes. It was beautiful. So it's good. So that, you know, that's the good thing about this Skype or Zoom or you know, webcam stuff is that you can see people. So because it makes a difference when you see the visual, some of that feeling of not being able to spend time, you know, it doesn't get as hard.
Mhm.
So it's always good to just, you know, every now and then I think it's a good idea to connect with somebody because eventually when you spend too much time on your own, this does get to you. It's natural, you know, like even what JC was saying, like I mean, yes, we avoid the paranoia, but if you're too much into it, eventually, you know, you need to have variety in your daily routines.
Mhm.
And it helps whether you go for a jog or a walk or talk to someone or do something other than just focusing on what's going on.
Mhm. Yeah. And for you,
I mean,
it's
I've been trying to learn the harmonica,
okay.
by the way. And that's the same friend is a reason for that, Adil. Like he gave it to me on my birthday some years back, but I never got around to doing it.
Mm,
So I was like, this is a good time to give this thing time as well, you know?
great.
So I hope, yeah. I've made very little progress, but hopefully.
How
that's
do you
something I
learn
wanna
it?
pick up better.
Just by watching videos?
By videos, and you have like the numbers. So the trick is the physical part of it in terms of how you blow in and out. So that takes a little getting used to. But then eventually it's physically it's simpler than most instruments, but it's just getting used to being able to get the harmonica to play the kind of melody that you want, which takes practice.
I see people
Because the
doing
beginning,
the
the numbers are
shaky
there, you follow the
hand.
numbers, but
I see people do the shaky hands with
yes,
the
it's
harmonica.
like the blues, yeah,
Yeah.
like in the blues and also I wish one day I can do it like that, you know, just sit down and play the Corona blues, you know, but I'm still some ways from that.
But you're making progress. That's nice.
Yeah, baby steps, baby steps.
Mhm.
What did you play any instrument?
No, I'm not musical. I have GarageBand on my iPad. I mess with it from time to time, but nothing real. Been trying to learn Spanish.
You should. I don't know. I haven't seen any of the other videos.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice. From what? From like online stuff or?
Oh, from the tapes. Just listen to tapes
Okay,
and
nice.
repeating
Wow. Yes.
with the tapes.
And I was saying that if you could make something in GarageBand like for like a theme song for your show.
I did
That's a good
that.
reason to try something out if you
I did
if your
that.
show has I'm sorry because I haven't seen the other ones, but if you have, that's cool. Then I need to check it out just for that.
Yeah,
To
yeah,
hear the music.
yeah. So like this theme,
Nice.
the intro, and the outro are both my creations. It's the same piece of music, but
Okay. Nice.
it happens twice in the episode.
But with different purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the purpose changes everything. So it's like a different piece.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking something else. One is the beginning, and one is the end.
Good point.
Subtext is different.
Good point. So I wrote two pieces
Yeah.
of music. Wonderful. Do you think that one, because I was thinking about what JC was saying, and you were saying about like whether there should be more positive news. Do you think one should, like, as an individual, actively be more selective about their news source and just, you know, like, because you mentioned that you're having a new mindset at the time at this time, and I think for me personally, I've created this mindset for myself where I actively seek for nicer news and talk to people about more positive sides of this. What do you think?
The first stage was right, like this thing was overwhelming and you know what's going on and you want to look at the numbers and you also want at the same time see how can things eventually improve. And there was this hope that maybe this thing won't last longer than it has. But obviously now there's a new reality and we can't stay stuck in the middle for like, you know, let's say the next year or so. So keeping that in mind, you know, you have to find a new positive, a new middle ground where you can continue doing the things you used to do before this, being in a safe way. And there are stories, you know, even one good thing is that one of the main news sites that I go to here, you know, it's dawn.com, like DAWN. They had, I don't know if they still have it, but they had this thing called something Corona positive or something, which was basically something about the good news and stories that were coming across, you know, during this time. They had a dedicated section. So those are good stories which show you that how you can still live a happy, normal life. And also like, you know, things are happening. A lot of babies are born in this time. You know, it's, and for some parents, it's not easy, but like, that's a good hope for the future. Like, you know, things like that are happening. So life is going on. Life doesn't have to come to us. The thing with the lockdown, it has its positives in terms of controlling things. You know, what the important part of it, all these things opening is, it's not about, you know, if the beaches have opened in the US or the shops have opened here. And so the thing is, we need to keep them open in a responsible way. Then it can continue for a year. Otherwise, if these numbers, because obviously there's a second wave, right? From the one that happened back in the day, from what my understanding is that there was a first wave, then there was a second wave, which was worse than the first one. So we want to avoid that while having a positive sort of life. So one just has to be, I would say, within a certain kind of like SOPs or whatever, but continue doing what you can and read the news and even read books and also disconnect. Like there has to be more to life than
Mm.
Corona.
Mm.
So focus on, say, good news just on Corona. It could be just good news in general. The progress happening, which may have nothing to do. The thing is, Corona has attached itself to everything. So any news we get is some way indirectly related to that, you know. Even just talking about upcoming films is like a disconnect. It makes you think about the old normal. That okay, this
Mm.
film is coming up, stage of progress. Writing your own script, perhaps reading a book, or just sports-related things. So those things help, and they don't have to be. They can just be positive in general, but it doesn't have to be something I think even connected to this what's going on. I think that even helps.
Mhm.
One shouldn't don't blind yourself and think everything is a-okay, but that's just a small part of it. We
Yeah.
always have challenge.
Mm.
Right now, this is the challenge with, and we need to keep moving forward in a safe and healthy fashion for ourselves and people around us, and hope that eventually we'll be better for it in the long run, inshallah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
Something.
great,
Yeah.
great advice for everybody in the world.
Yeah. I hope that eventually, um, we can see this and learn from this experience. It doesn't have to be the experience.
Mm.
Definitely, there's a lot of things which we can learn to avoid it from happening again, and also in terms of prioritizing things, life, those things I'm sure our habits have changed, and some of them are good habits, and those can continue in the days to come.
Mhm. Yeah, like I've talked to people who just binge watch TV and movies and read books. People do their own things to cope with this, and people, maybe people should go watch your movie, The Journey Within.
Yeah, I hope that film gets released. Like now is a good time at home. So I hope to be, it's been forever that film is still kind of pending, but I'm hoping that maybe we can release it now because I'd love to share it with people.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe just you having said that puts in some good positive vibes in that direction that
Mm-hmm.
hopefully use.
Mm-hmm.
If there wasn't plug it on your show right now, they're coming on so and so day, but we don't know yet. Hopefully, I love that. I love for people to be able to share it.
Yeah.
Um, with like the general public as compared to just having those one-off like events and screenings and festivals and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be nice.
Definitely hope we can see it very soon. At home or
Yeah.
in a theater, maybe.
Now, even if, home theater would be amazing, but maybe in Shanghai though.
Mm.
Shanghai might open sooner. No,
Yeah.
everyone else at home, but Shanghai at the cinema, and it has that Popeye line.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's good. Let's see, step by step.
Mm-hmm. So, has this pandemic changed you in any way? I think you've already elaborated on a little bit of on the mindset, but anything else? Like, has it changed?
Well, I mean, physically, you can see that I've buzzed my hair. So that is I don't think I would have done it if there wasn't like this lockdown situation. I've always thought about it. I've always been tempted to do it, but I didn't. I feel like it's the right thing to do, or whether I should do it. But when I knew that okay, for a month or two, what's the harm? And then when I did it, it just felt so good, and I felt okay. So now it might be something that I do regularly every summer or something. But that's, I mean, the physical part of it. Otherwise, I think just having to spend more time with my folks. I'm just just. I mean, I've always been close to them, but I just feel like appreciating that time that we have, even more. Because, they're at a stage, I'm at a certain stage, and it's always work or busy or this and that, or trying to say that, I don't have time for this or that. So I feel like appreciating them even more is something which I think will stay, even more so perhaps. Otherwise, I guess maybe it's early, but just being, um, I guess their importance in my life is becoming even more for me. That just because by being concerned, I guess you feel that, and with what's happening, otherwise you just feel a bit more concerned that whatever time we have, we should make the best use of it. So valuing little things, like just watching a TV show with your family, or just spending time, which otherwise I used to be always just trying to write or do something, and I'm not, because I can't watch TV, I can't do this. But I've made it a point now to take out time for those things. And I think that's been a nice experience, fulfilling experience. And I think that habit perhaps can continue, that it's never, and I think the whole Corona thing has made us pause, right? We always think we don't have enough time. So is that how much time we have is on to us in terms of how much we give it to different things. We always have enough time. It just depends what we give it to. So I think that's something which I'm hoping to be able to manage better. So little things like that, and my otherwise I don't know if nothing else, nothing too drastic. And the movies, started watching more films. I wouldn't.
So what is the first thing you would like to do after everything is over?
I mean, I'd like to just, be able to sit, relax, in an environment with, like, even, let's say, I'll go meet my friends without being worried about something. Or like I said, just to give a hug to my folks without being worried about something, happening. I can probably do it now too, but there's something at the back of your mind, especially if you go to the store and come back, where you just want to be a little careful. So that freedom with zero concern would probably be something I'd look forward to, and I'd like to do. I might sneak in a couple of those hugs before then, but that's something I'd like to be able to do with no stress.
Cool.
Yeah.
That was great. We had a wonderful session, but yeah, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me, and good luck with this. And I hope this continues to grow. And when you get those, remember us people that we were the first to get, and that this is in which you surprised your guests. Eventually, this is going to become like a thing.
Yeah.
But this was the prototype.
Yes.
You might have like a which comes in. Who's behind it?
Yeah, it was so much fun, and I enjoyed the talk a lot, really.
Thank you. Same here. It was good fun. I'm glad that we did this. Good to see you through this excuse. Take care and stay safe, and be well.
You too. Stay safe.
Okay.
Bye.
Try that. Bye-bye.